Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 3 Raam's Shadow, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 5 of 5. It is entitled Kryllstorm. So this is the final chapter of the DLC. It usually clocks out at about a little over half an hour for one kind of obnoxious reason that I'll mention in a minute, but mostly it has to do with your not being able to shoot an enemy when you want to, but rather on the capricious whim of the computer. But I have started like the first 10 minutes of this video with weapons that I've carried over from the previous chapter. Don't get dismayed too much because I have, you know, the ability to use the boom shot and different things here to seal holes quickly. I was just trying to show you what you can do when you carry over weapons through chapter 4 into this chapter. And if you do need to restart the chapter fresh, of course they're going to start you off with the usual garbage. 0 grenades probably, the Lancer and the shotgun, you know, the typical default layout that I think could use a little bit of tweaking. At least give the players some grenades at the very least. There's plenty of checkpoints on this stage, but it's still quite difficult. It's a challenging final boss. I'm going to be bringing back a method from actually a decade ago of sealing holes. It's an anti-lackey method actually. So on Raam, you shouldn't have to ever fight any ground-based enemies. So it's enough that you have to deal with. You have enough on your plate with Raam, so to speak, because it's a wide open space. But even if you're far away from him, you can easily get killed by the Kryll. So at this point, there's grenadiers that come out with these elite Maulers. These are the same ones that you always fight, except there's a little difference on these ones. Their shields reflect bullets, so it's never going to be anything that outright kills you. And there's plenty of room to work with over here. Just remember, at the beginning of the stage, you want to turn around, and behind some boxes or something, there are some grenades over there, so you'll want to pick those up. And there's that guy was just running right up to me. That's funny. There's a pair of grenades at the beginning of the stage, like I was saying, and then from one of the areas where these Maulers spawns, the room to the right when we go down, there's 2 more grenades. So for this particular stage, they decided that you cannot have any power. These guys are just really charging right up to me like bulls. I've never really seen that happen before too much. But on this stage, you have to be very careful with the grenades that you use, and you have to be extremely careful too with your choices of weapons that you're taking. It doesn't matter in the end. It does help to have the torque bow on the elite Cantus that you have to fight, just because whittling through his HP can kind of be a nuisance. I do have I don't have the torque bow at this point. In a moment, you're going to see like a quick edit, and I do have the torque bow. The reason for that is, for some reason, this game keeps forgetting my checkpoints, and I have to revert back to earlier checkpoints. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I have to redo. I have to keep redoing stuff, unfortunately. But I'm very excited that the walkthrough is over. It's been several months that I was actually doing this walkthrough, and that actually just shows you that there is a lot of content for this. And I was quite busy doing other things, of course, but this part's kind of obnoxious. The elite Cantus down here, he's in the tunnel area to the right. He's right over there, so you want to nail him. I did want to mention though that if you have 4 grenades going into this part, make sure that you only use 2 of those 4. If you're going to be following my strategy of grenade tagging the areas where Raam's lackeys will spawn out of the holes when you have to fight him, you want to have all 4 for those. And there's only 2 more grenades after this, so be very careful. So what I try to do here is I try to stagger him with a grenade, run up to him, nail him with another one, put a grenade on him, get back into cover. What you saw there is something that worked out well in that occurrence, but there's a lot of instances where he gets staggered fine, but sometimes you'll push up into cover accidentally. He'll retaliate. Something will happen. Tickers will come up to you. Your teammates will all fall. Just a lot of bad things. But this is kind of a mess. I don't understand if they want you to keep running back from left to right over here, because he gets a little bitchy when he's almost dead. And what I mean by that is he has a tendency to chase you around a lot, and that's never good, because outside of cover in this game, you're very at risk. But yeah, having the torque bow here is really good, just because you have to take this guy down through like 3 cycles of HP, and of course there's other enemies to deal with. I'm not sure if they infinitely spawn. It seems like they do infinitely spawn his helpers, so this is actually a pretty challenging fight. Raam himself has about 3 to 4 phases. They're all nicely checkpointed. The problem with that I had, because I had a difficult time doing this boss, and the main reason is that when you're in cover, the Krill finger that you were using when you were Raam, that's actually gonna be signposted pretty well. So you should recognize that when you are playing that, when he is about to fire his Kryll. It doesn't really matter if you're on the far side of the screen. You can get instantly killed very easily, staggered, so that to the point where you can't move, and just ripped to shreds. And it's really unfortunate. It's unfair, and the best you can really do is you have to make sure that you're in cover, and even then, sometimes the ink grenades will just go through surfaces. Here's the other grenades, by the way. Make sure that you have these 4 grenades. And in this other room, this is the final weapon cache location. I'm gonna recommend here, you want the Retro Lancer and the Lancer. Retro Lancer is a tricky gun to use. It's erratic, of course, and has a tricky reload. But if you can get it down, you can definitely minimize the time that you have to fight Raam. But as I was saying, the ink grenades are pretty obnoxious, and just the fact that the Kryll can go through cover, it's just really absurd. It doesn't make any sense, and it makes the fight very frustrating. So when you come down here, this is the boss arena. You're gonna get a checkpoint after you kill a few of the drones over here. This next section, I think it has about 2 to 3. Be careful; these guys have lancers too, so they can stagger you and they can kill you quickly. Maybe not all of them have lancers, but these are the lancer enemies that spawn sometimes. This coming back here is a really good spot. Like I said, you're going to get a checkpoint in just a second, and then that forward is the real difficult part. So this is. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. There's one part here right before he alights onto the ground. So you will have some holes over here that you'll have to deal with. So unfortunately, I'm gonna definitely recommend that you don't seal the holes on this particular checkpoint area. It is frustrating. I definitely know to not be able to, if you see holes right in front of you and you have grenades, the sad thing is that they just don't give you any grenades on this part. So after you knock him down, you will be spawning the holes. And one of the main things that I detest about this boss fight is the fact that when you're aiming, reticle is over Raam. If it's white, you cannot. You could fire, of course, but you're not going to deal any damage to him. So you have to, as the characters say, you have to wait for openings to hit him, which just means that you have to wait until the reticle turns red. So it's one of those things where you don't want to agitate him too much, but sometimes when you're too reticent in the fight. Here, we should get a checkpoint in a minute. When you're too reticent, sometimes it doesn't work either. So it's just needing just to get the job done, unfortunately. So the next checkpoint is coming up pretty soon, but you don't have to kill all of the grubs that come out of the holes before you get a checkpoint here, so don't worry about that. And I'm going to be showing you the grenade sealing methods that I did actually develop those 10 years ago. I didn't look anywhere. Nobody told me about it. I was just not wanting to fight any enemies because it's definitely hard enough, like I said. So the nice thing about these holes is that they are not random, meaning that they're always going to be in the same pattern for you every time. So if you memorize where these holes are, and you'll probably, after a couple hours on this guy, hopefully it doesn't take you that long. I think I was on this guy at least 2 hours on this next phase. And I will show you exactly where the holes are that you'll need to spawn. So remember, Gears of War games, with the exception of Judgment, you can only have 2 grenades tagged at any one time. So on this next checkpoint, the first thing you'll want to do, just as a routine every time, is to just go to the holes. There's one over to the left by the thrashball court, by a statue that will get submerged. There are some lines drawn on the ground. I'll show you exactly where it is. The good thing too is that you don't have to be too accurate about where you set down the frag, because of the hole. When it does spawn, it's such a large area of opportunity for where you set it down that it's not going to matter too much if you're a little bit off. And just remember too, anytime he signposts an attack, physically or with the dialogue, you need to be in cover. You err on the side of caution and just get in cover as much as you can. And we should be on that phase over here. Feel free if you want to seal holes here, you can. But I would say that this next checkpoint is definitely the most difficult on the DLC. It's a challenging fight. Okay, here we go. Here's the checkpoint. Okay, so the hole is right over here by these lines where the statue is, right there. Put it right there next to the statue. That's hole number 1. Hole number 2 should be over up and to the left by this slide area and the sandbags up here. Right up here. So just set it down right over there. And since we have 2 on the ground right now, we can't use any more without the risk of detonating the ones that we've already put down. I've always thought that was kind of stupid too. Just 2 frag grenades at any given time. He almost set this off. He was going to walk over there actually. So unfortunately, but do you see my reticle is I'm aimed over him? I cannot hit him. You can only hit him when he doesn't have the Kryll shield. Well, when does he not have the Kryll shield? When he has thrown the Kryll at you, obviously, or at any other time that the game deems is a time for you to be able to hit him. Unfortunately, you just have to wait, and I really find that obnoxious. Okay, he's winding up over to throw a grenade, but the good thing though is that he does definitely get distracted by your teammates, and for most of the fight, he's just going to be butchering your teammates. The worst thing that can happen though is all your teammates can fall. Definitely watch out for any situation like that. You'll need to recover at least one of those teammates so that you can start a chain reaction of them healing each other. So I don't think we've set off any grenades right now, but as you can see in a moment, we are going to be detonating holes passively while we're dealing with this guy. So once you see wipe prompts that aren't about your teammates falling over here, these right here. Okay, so once grenades start detonating, so the first one is detonated over to the left, so that one's done. Okay, hole number 3 of 4 is right over here. It's beneath this window area, in the middle window right over here, like a little bit in front of it, like right there. So that's the third of the 4 holes, like I said. So right now we have a grenade on the second and the third one right now. So we're gonna bring this guy down to health thresholds over here so that we can detonate the grenades. So you'll have to go through all of the reductions of his HP. You'll see the grenades detonating every time. But once grenade number 2 has gone off, you'll want to quickly put a grenade over the 4th hole. And I just find that it's a little bit of a hassle, admittedly, but I really don't want to have to deal with anybody shooting me at this point. It's just a little bit too much. He definitely doesn't need any help. He's fine by himself. And I hate waiting around to not be able to shoot him either. And it's one of those ironies too of you don't want to aggravate him, and yet you have to finish the fight, so you have to shoot him. There's hole number 3. Hole number 4, the last one, is in this corner right over here. So just set it down in that general area, and then at this point you'll have 0 frag grenades, and that means that you've put all the frag grenades over holes, so you don't have to worry about that. If any enemies are firing at you, you've put the grenade in the wrong area. So I don't know, if you want to restart at that point, be careful. These goddamn ink grenades going through cover, it's such a hassle. And I'm sorry too that the video has to be the length that it is. It's unfortunate that I had so many instances, and you probably will too, where everything is going absolutely perfectly, and then for out of the clear blue sky you just get killed. But definitely capitalize on these moments if you can. When he's attacking your teammates with the knife, hopefully, your reticle can give you an opportunity to hit him. But normally, see, anytime that he's about to dispatch the Kryll and it looks like they're going to go to your teammates just because of where he's looking at, still go into cover, because you can still feel the wrath of those Kryll, because they will come over to you anyway. It doesn't matter that he's not necessarily looking at you when he dispatches the Kryll. So I thought that was an important thing to note. This is challenging. It really is. I don't care. I don't care for Raam. I never really have cared for Raam as a boss. And I really do think that it would have been a little bit better of the developers to put some, maybe one more set of grenades on this part, or the ability to have some better weapons at the beginning. Because if you do I think I've mentioned this, but there are no power weapons on this stage. Not even the Elite Cantus, who uses the torque bow at times. You cannot get his torque bow either. Of course, you can carry weapons through chapters, as I do, and as I kind of struggle with in my mind of striking a balance between carrying weapons through chapters, and then people who are watching the walkthrough, they're not going to have necessarily the same tools that I have. But anyway, that's if I constantly thought of that, then I would probably never be able to play this game, because of always having to take that in consideration, like every second of what I'm doing, So I have to, at some point. Oh shit! All of our teammates are down. You see how this is happening here? All of our teammates are down, so now he has nothing to focus on but me. So I have to definitely give people a revive over here to help them out, and well, not necessarily help me out, keep me alive, so we can start a chain reaction. Now, what happens if that circle fills up with red? Can your teammates be on the ground forever without a fail state? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. You wouldn't want that, of course, because they're fodder for him and they're a distraction. And I will be covering Gears of War 2 after this as well. So when I got my Xbox Series X, I had no idea that these games had been upgraded to 60. Or I didn't know that you could play them at 120 hertz either. So I'm like sitting on a gold mine of these games. So I'm having so many feelings of gratitude too, of being able to come back to these games with. For instance, I use a Elite controller. I feel spoiled to be able to even use that, to be able to alternate the weapon. The triggers and the paddles, and being able to use different things to make it fit my particular play style, and my hands, compensate with my hand injuries too. Just be careful. I mean, you can only be careful on this. I realize that up to a certain point, and it's just a kind of just a waiting game. I wish that, like I said, some power weapons to maybe disperse his Kryll. I do have the Gorgon pistol, and I think a long time ago I may have seen something about it having explosive properties somewhat. So I didn't want to use that because it's such a rare item to have. At this point, most people, they're not going to have I don't even know how I have it. But I don't know anything about that having explosive properties to it. Maybe it has some minimal ones. I really don't know. Aiming over your left shoulder outside of cover. This is just such a man. Every time I do that, I'm laughing in my mind that you can do that. But yeah, Gears of War 2 will be next. I will be replacing. I do apologize too that I don't like having like duplicate walkthroughs if I can help it on the channel. I know I have a lot of Ninja Gaiden content that's duplicated, but if I have a Gears of War 2 Insane Guide, like I'm not necessarily even proud of that one either. So I'd like to redo it, and I do apologize too if people think that it's worse when I do the redo, because they like the original. But okay, what point are we on in this stage? I think the point. Okay, we've all the holes, have they all spawned? I think the last one went off over here because I saw that prompt. So the holes are good. A good way to tell too of how much health he has. Here we go. I just want to be able to shoot him when I want to, because you'll just be standing there with your reticle over him, and I'm just waiting for an opening. I'm waiting for an opening. Can I just shoot him? Now, I also prefer this back area over here too, because I found that if you're just running around in an open space, it can be a bad thing. So if you kind of just find a good spot to stand, it's very helpful. It doesn't help. I'm sorry. Oh, we got a checkpoint here too. Finally. God, that is hard. That is really difficult too. Okay, so now the hard part is over, and I think there's 2 more checkpoints. There's at least 1 more checkpoint, and you're just, when you're on this part, you're just thinking, why does this exist, kind of thing. But maybe it was just me wanting to end the project and just having it finished. Necessarily, I was. There was a couple of times too when my game just utterly crashed when I was doing well too, but who knows? I probably would have died the next second. Okay, there's the first Reaver. These Reavers are always going to light at the same areas. So you're going to have to deal with the splash of those rockets. So when you see the light on it glow, definitely want to just do your best to evade. I know the splash on this particular game is obnoxious, as it usually is in these games. But yeah, I really don't know why these sections. I mean, for the story and everything, and it is fun. But when you do a really difficult part, it's kind of a letdown to then have to do, sections that are just a postscript essentially. And of course, he has a shield over him too when he's on the Reaver. So that means that you're going to have to wait for the capricious whim of the game to let you fire on him. Oh, God. There's a mulcher over there too. If you could make use of it, you're a better player than I am. I could find no use for that mulcher. To be bogged down with a mulcher like that on this, it's just not good. Ah, man, the splash. I'm just having so many bad memories of doing this, too. The splash needs to be minimized a little bit. Minimize the splash. Do not... I can understand maybe the ink grenades going through cover, but not the birds. I don't think anything should be like that, but you have to be particularly careful at all times. And even then, you can only hope for the game to cooperate with you, and it's quite difficult too. So we have a checkpoint as well. So not only have we beaten the main final boss, we've beaten the first checkpoint after him, and then this is the final checkpoint. Once you deal with this, you'll have the slash over the objective, and you should get an achievement. If I can pull up the achievement, I'll put it in at the end. It will have been gotten a long time ago, but I will see if I could put that in at the end, just in case you wanted to see that. And as much as this is a postscript, this is going to take a while. I'm sorry. We're at 28 minutes. We've got at least another 5 to go. This is I didn't expect this to be as hard, but of course, something that you did 10 years ago, you're not going to remember all of the times that you had that you had so many issues. Because I think this is not as bad as the Gears of War 3 boss, but this is it's still potentially going to give you a lot of stress. But I was trying to minimize the stress for you as much as possible by that grenade sealing method. And I hope you don't think I was tooting my horn too much about that. Oh yeah, I developed it and everything. I just thought about doing it, and it worked. So, of course, it does depend on your having grenades, but I did mention that you'll want to carry those through. Okay, so if Jace will get out of my way, I have switched to the Gorgon pistol over here because I think I'm low on the other ammunition. Or maybe I was just bored. I'm not sure, but it's giving me a couple openings to hit him. Now, just because I'm aiming at his face, it doesn't matter where you're aiming the reticle. Even if you're aiming it at the Reaver, at him, on his legs, it's just not gonna to give you. See, look, it's not turning red. It's not clipping on anything. It's just not gonna let you do it. So, how do you think of that? Just standing around waiting for an opening. I've never had it so that it like glitched out and never went to be able to hit the enemy. So I have to give it credit about that at least, because you'd think that would happen from time to time, the way it's set up. But fortunately, if you've got here, it's just a matter of just finishing it, sealing it off. And I hope that you didn't have too many problems. Gears of War 2 is not without its issues as well. On Insane has no final boss. That's good though. I'm glad. I don't want it to have a final boss. I'm fine with it being a big Brumac fest at the end. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I did kind of find it. I always kind of find it humorous because you know my opinion about the Gears bosses. I don't think they're particularly done well. Just let me hit him. You know? And oh, here we go. We're able to hit him a little bit from here. Okay, so once you damage him enough, though, he will start to fly around. I think he can fire projectiles at you when he's in the air. Because I think I got killed at that once, maybe, but see, I'm aiming my reticle all over him. I'm not getting any visual confirmation to shoot. Your characters they'll admonish you a little bit too if you're shooting when you're not supposed to, so it does give you an idea of what you're supposed to do. They also say comments about waiting for openings and things like that. But like I said, he does start to fly around, and I think I've been killed to him on that maybe once. But the thing is, what's going to happen though is, so you'll be shooting him when he's in the air, right? You'll get because it's difficult. You'll be difficult to see where he is. They're going to give you a Y prompt. If you want to take advantage of that, you can. I would say take advantage of it, but if you know where he is, you don't have to do it. But if you want him like right in front of you, you hold down Y, it will snap you face to face with him pretty much, and then you'll be able to shoot him. However, there seems to be a little delay about you're not being able to fire the instant after you hold down the Y button. So if you look at this right here, when it does say to hold down Y, sometimes you'll not see me be able to shoot right away, and you might wonder why I'm not doing that. It's because I'm kind of locked out from shooting until it corrects itself. But after you hit him just a little bit more, you will get the final cutscene. And just be careful, because I think you can die here as well. There's still ink grenades in the ground for some reason, so he must be throwing them down or something. I have no idea. But that has been Raam's Shadow. It's a good package. It's challenging, and I've always found it fun, with the exception of, the more obnoxious sections, and also the Raam sections. I don't find those fun. But that's just me. Maybe you find them fun, and that's perfectly good. But we should be getting that, and I wish you the best on all of that. The grenade, I'm telling you, if you are having a problem, the grenade sealing, setting those frag tags down, as they're called, it's definitely the way to go. You'll have a lot less issues. Okay, so that has been Raam's Shadow. I will see you in Gears of War 2 for Big Benedict Productions. Please take care.